Let me move away from the coronavirus and deal with something which AIDS-free world feels very, very strongly about. Last week, the former president of Burundi died. He died at the age of 55, allegedly from a heart attack, although many people believe that it was a heart attack induced by the coronavirus. In the 15 years of his tenure, the former president, Nkurunziza, managed to preside over an absolute tyranny. Extrajudicial executions, rape, murder, torture, all suppression of dissent, so extreme that a former International High Commissioner for Human Rights described it as one of the most prolific slaughterhouses of humans in recent times. Quite a description. The Human Rights Council in Geneva was so concerned about what was happening in Burundi that they launched a commission of inquiry. That inquiry was then supplemented by an investigation by the International Criminal Court. Both investigations found evidence of crimes against humanity in Burundi. That's one half of the equation I want to disgorge. Here's the other half, which is really unbelievable. The United Nations actually funds and has funded that atrocity of the regime in Burundi. How? Well, Burundi provides peacekeepers to the United Nations peacekeeping operation in the Central African Republic. And these peacekeepers are drawn from the military, the security apparatus, the extreme youth wing, which under the direction of the former president of Burundi, was responsible for the crimes against humanity. And they export those same soldiers, as it were, to the Central African Republic, where they are predatory rapists, where already there have been confirmed allegations of sexual exploitation and abuse leveled against the Burundian peacekeepers in the Central African Republic. So on the one hand, you have the UN investigating Burundi and documenting crimes against humanity. On the other hand, you have the UN paying the regime conducting crimes against humanity $13 million a year as a way of payment for those peacekeeping soldiers. How do you bridge those levels of hypocrisy? It's absolutely impossible. So what happens now that Nkurunziza is dead? Well, there was a sudden outpouring of condolences. The diplomats in Burundi rushed to sign the condolence book. The African presidents poured out their condolences. The ambassador from Switzerland to the United Nations, who acts as an intermediary between Burundi and the Security Council, pours out condolences. Canada, fully aware of what went on in Burundi under Nkurunziza's presidency, sends condolences. I note with somewhat acid undertones that Canada is running for the Security Council and the elections are Wednesday, June 17th. How convenient. The United States supplies condolences. But worst of all, the Secretary General of the United Nations provides condolences for this man who has been guilty of crimes against humanity, documented by the UN, and then pays him to sustain his regime. And from the Secretary General, not a word, not a peep, not a whisper of what has happened to the people of Burundi in the course of those 15 years. AIDS-free world has begged the members of the Security Council, the Secretary General, the Ambassadorial Corps to repatriate those Burundians from the Central African Republic. We've moved heaven and earth and we have not yet been successful. So Nkurunziza's dead. Will there be accountability? No, there'll be no accountability. Those who committed the atrocities in Burundi will never be accountable. And worse still, the United Nations will not be accountable. It is ever thus. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.